Our next technique, we're gonna start now doing our top spin to take the back. I started using this technique whenever my partner is gaining the far side underhook, trying to turn into me. If I'm able to stabilize side control, I'm able to make my partner accept the position. I look to get the underhook on the same side, use my hips, force him to the third position, and I have the back take right there. But let's say to try to escape their way out of side control, or maybe sometimes I land in this position where my partner has the underhook on the far side. And slowly he's using this underhook to knock me up and then turn into me. Either get into my leg in a single leg or just trying to use this to create some space and frame the guard. So we're gonna look on ways to slow my partner down from this position, avoid him from getting to the single leg, and also connect to the back, okay? So first thing that I recognize is underhook on the far side. I do try to pinch my elbow to his body, at least to slow down his underhook. You guys, I see a lot of people talking about regaining back this underhook. Every time I try to do it, I feel like I allow my partner to get even deeper with the underhook that he has. Okay, so even when I was a kid, my coach would always tell me to gain the underhook, just swing your arm back in. And then you have the underhook again. But as I try to do that now, I feel like the space that I create to get this hand back in is the space that he needs to adjust his underhook. Okay, and he ends up like making me off balance, getting deeper with that underhook, and I ended up losing the side control. So look how right away, I look to connect my elbow to my partner's body to slow down his underhook. I'm not gonna stop it at first, but I'm gonna slow it down. This hand right here, I'm gonna use it on the shoulder, try to push his shoulder flat on the ground. Okay, if I let this shoulder come up, this is what he needs to go turn sideways. So this shoulder right here is pushing. Look how my partner will turn, and I'm gonna start, my hands and elbows are gonna turn into a frame. So he's gonna start turning sideways. Look how right away, this hand right here, it's framing on my partner's neck. And this hand, I'm gonna get my elbow in front of his hips. So look, hand comes to the hip, and look how I turn my elbow in, and I use my elbow to push my partner's hips down. Okay, so both hands are trying to push my partner back down. But I don't want you guys to just stiff arm your way down. Look how I'm fitting the position with my elbows. Okay, so one elbow is on the inside of his leg, the other elbow right here is in front of his neck. And I'm able to slow my partner down very well using this frame. So if he tries to turn, go. Look how to add more pressure, I just get my knees off the ground and I have all my body weight on top of my partner. Okay, which makes it difficult for him to turn into me. If you guys try to act naturally, your body will just try to hug your partner. So naturally, your body just wants to try to hug them. Okay, but slowly you're gonna feel like your partner is sliding out of the position, and then you guys will end up in this position right here. Okay, so try to recognize how I already understood how deep his underhook is, how far he's in the position. Now I gotta close the gaps to try to slow him down. Okay, so I close the gaps and slow him down. My first step to the top spin is to make a big step over his head. Okay, so a big step over my partner's head. Look how when I step over the head, I use my knee, okay, right on his back over here. So my knee is gonna come right on his shoulder. Okay, and I'm trying to push the shoulder down because at this point, I don't want him to go back on his back. I'm already on my way to take his back, finish the top spin, and start the back take. Okay, so I use my knee right here to stop him from going back on his back. If you guys go like this, your partner can at any time just return back to that same position. Okay, so go one. Now I'm gonna start switching my hands. So look how my left hand is on the hip. I'm gonna enter my right arm, okay, straight up, going down, okay, until I get my elbow in front of his ribs. Let's turn this way, here's it. So look how I'm using my elbow in front of my partner's ribs and his chest right here. Okay, and you guys, I usually post my hand on the ground just to create some sort of grip with my arm, and I'm pushing my elbow against his chest. Okay, now there's two options for you guys here. I could maintain the side control position, And if I want to do that, I just got to control my partner's biceps. So look how when I control his arm, I bring his arm with me, and I have the side control. Because we're working on the back take, I want to free his arm. Okay, so I start switching knees on the ground. So look how my right knee goes down, left knee comes up. And then I'm going to finish sliding my toe all the way down. So look how I slide my toe all the way. And I'm onto that same position that we just worked previously, where I have my hips against my partner's hip. Okay, what I'm going to look to get from this position is that I look to get the collar grip with this hand. So I get the collar grip. This one you guys can start connecting on the back of your partner's collar on this side. And I'm going to use my hips to force my partner to give me the turtle. So same details as we used on the previous technique, but I did have to do that top spin to make sure my partner didn't escape his way out of the side control. So now look, step on the ground, force them to give you the turtle position. And look, I'm going to slide now my chest into his back. Chest goes into the back. I switch it to a seat belt. And then again, look, I sit down and I bring my partner's head on top of my leg. Okay, once his head is on top of my leg, I can get the first hook in, and I use my elbow to guide him back to the other side. That's why it was very important, and I told you guys to spend time into that first few techniques that we learned with the turtle position, how to maintain the back. Because all the back takes will rely on those important details. Chest on the back, knees on each side of the hip, bringing your partner's head on top of your leg. Learn how to use the seat belt to guide your partner side to side. For every back take, you guys will use those details. Okay, so it's important for you guys to spend a good amount of time drilling those details so you guys are able to apply into any situation. Side control, hip control, turtle position, all the situations that we're going to be working. Again. So I start in side control, he gained the underhook. Right away, look, close the space. Okay, at least to slow down his underhook. Frame on the shoulder, he starts to turn sideways, elbow comes in. So now my elbow, it's inside his hips, and I'm pushing his shoulder down. So remember the first one, big step over, arm comes through, now I start switching knees on the ground. As you guys switch knees, I want to make sure I also slide my toe at the same time, look. 1, 2. I'm going to end up on this side. Okay, so I look to grab the collar and the back of my partner's collar grip. Now I use my hips to force him to expose more of his back. So my hips, look, push him, I expose more of the back. Now I can slide my chest into his back. As I do that, I try to gain the overhook seat belt at the same time. So I'm right here, look. 1, connect the seat belt, slide my foot under. Now I make my leg as a pillow right here for my partner's head. I start stepping over and take the back, or a lot of times if you guys are in this position, if your partner decides to roll away from you guys, remember he's going flat, I just got to catch the hips. Okay, so one knee on each side, and then I start moving with him. As long as I have his hips in between my legs, I should be able to land in this position where I have the seat belt. My first hook is already in. Just got to set up that top hook in. Okay? But again, once you got to that position, you made your partner expose the back, you got your chest on their back, really doesn't matter which way they're going. If they're going away from you, or if they're going into you, or if they're just trying to stay there and defend the position, you guys will be able to take the back from there. And another situation that it will probably happen to you guys is as you're doing the top spin, your partner starts to come up in the turtle position. So he starts to come up to his knees, which is fine. You guys are going to end up on the other side, but now you guys will probably see yourself in the turtle position instead of seeing yourself in the side control. So as I'm doing my top spin, look how Zach is coming all the way up, and I'm going to end up here. Okay, so look how I end up hip to hip. This is a very common situation. I'm doing all the details that I need to do to finish my top spin, end up on the other side and take the back. But when I do that, I end up on the turtle position instead, because my partner was trying to come up to the single leg and he came all the way up to his knees. Now you guys are gonna start choosing one of those techniques from the turtle position to take the back. Okay, so I can use the seatbelt, step over, take the back. You guys can start switching sides, enter your knee, create the gap, step over. I got my first hook. Okay, so there's many techniques that we work from the turtle position, but I just wanted to show you guys what it would look like whenever your partner does come up to that turtle. There's nothing wrong you guys are doing about the top spin, but there is a chance where they do come up to their knees. Okay, so just be okay in that situation. You guys are still in a great position. We did work techniques from the turtle position, turtle situation. Now you guys just gotta decide which one you like best, okay, which one you guys are most comfortable with to continue taking your partners back.